that I don't entertain rumors and speculations. So even if people spread false things about what happened and what didn't happen, I don't have time for that. I deal with politics and political content strictly. So every time I'm going to have a political discussion or a media discussion, it will strictly be on content issues and how do we shape society, how do we build a progressive society which is going to benefit the black majority and Africans in particular. So that is the agenda that we're going to be communicating. Those things of who met who, when, and all of those things. I went to Nkandla during elections, so last year when we were setting up structures. I've never been to Nkandla in the recent past, but I don't want to enter into that discussion. And I will not be tempted, not once, to take platforms to talk about personal issues. All the time, we'll stick to the commitment of talking politics, of content, of ideology, of just how do we take society forward. That is strictly what we're going to deal with. The rest of
South Africa's political landscape is shifting once again. Floyd Shivambu leaves the EFF he co-founded, while Jacob Zuma's new party, the MK Party, seeks to reshape the future of the nation. What do these moves mean for the country's political and economic future? Greetings and welcome to Inkari. It's time where we break down the most important events shaping our nation. Today we're diving into two major political developments: Floyd Shivambu's departure from the EFF to join the MK Party, and former President Jacob Zuma's strategic maneuver with his new party. Could this move signal a new era in South African politics? Floyd Shivambu, a key figure in the economic freedom fighters, has left the party he co-founded. This move has sent shockwaves across the political spectrum. Shivambu has joined the Umkhonto Sizwe Party, a decision that raises many questions about the future of economic emancipation in South Africa.
And I said, please be informed that I will not renew my membership of the EFF in Ward 44, which is one of the best performing wards in Johannesburg region. I also request to resign my position as Member of Parliament and all positions in the EFF. I will only do so after receiving a go-ahead from the organization, because it is the EFF that deployed me to Parliament. I cherish and appreciate the work that we collectively did in the EFF and building a formidable organization.
Shivambu was instrumental in shaping the EFF's economic policy, advocating for land expropriation without compensation and the nationalization of key industries. So why the sudden shift to the MK Party? Is this strategic move to pursue economic emancipation from a different platform, or does it signal deeper issues within the EFF? While some see this as a positive realignment, others worry that it could fragment the broader movement for economic change. Will Shivambu's new role in the MK Party lead to a greater focus on economic justice, or will it weaken the momentum built by the EFF?
I will never abandon the cause for economic emancipation and true freedom in our lifetime. I will never compromise my commitment to true emancipation, and I will never abandon my commitment to the Marxist-Leninist ideological lenses and view and guide to action in my understanding of society. I will not do and say anything that will compromise the integrity of the organization that we have collectively founded. My sincere plea is that in its reflection of the decision that I have taken, the organization should also avoid mischaracterization of an otherwise revolutionary and disciplined decision to not renew membership of the EFF.
Meanwhile, former President Jacob Zuma is making headlines with his new party, the Umkhonto Sizwe Party. Known for his political cunning, Jacob Zuma's latest move is seen by many as an attempt to regain influence and perhaps even capture the state. Zuma's political career has been marked by controversy, particularly his involvement in state capture scandals. Yet, his influence remains significant, especially among certain factions that feel betrayed by the current ANC leadership under Cyril Ramaphosa. But can Jacob Zuma's MK party truly take over South African politics? Or is this simply a bid to disrupt the status quo and challenge the ANC and other major parties? With a fragmented political landscape and a strong legal institutions, a complete political takeover seems unlikely. However, Zuma's presence in the political arena could still have a profound impact.
Makukhulunywa nge-unemployment kukhulunywa ngendlela emnyama akekho omunye okukhulunywa ngayo. Makukhulunywa ngabantu abahlala emkhukhwini yithi akekho olunye uhlobo ohlala emkhukhwini. Masikhuluma ngomuntu ohlala noma imaphi lapho kuthiwa kusemakhaya khona, uyaphoqeleka ukuthi uma ufuna umsebenzi ahamba ekude. Ungasuka kwelakini eNkandla noma kumaphi uye eGoli, ufika uhola imali encane bese kufanele uzondla ulapha eGoli, uphinde futhi uondle nabantwana lapha eGoli, ngoba mase uhleli lapha awazi ukuhlala wedwa, ebese futhi ukuphinde uyokondla ekhaya. Sifuna ngelanga lokhetho indlu emnyama ivote ndawonye ngo-2/3 majority. I-2/3 majority iyona ezokwenza sibuyele esimweni sezwe lethu, sihlonishwe nathi.
So, what does all this mean for South Africa? Floyd Shivambu's departure from the EFF and Jacob Zuma's ambitions with the MK party are shaping up to be pivotal moments. These moves could either lead to a more dynamic and diverse political landscape or deepen divisions within the movement for economic and social justice.
And just to give clarity so that there is no speculation, I've decided not to renew the membership of the EFF because I will join and participate in Umkhonto Sizwe Party. I am not going to speak here in Winnie-Madikizela Mandela House as to what is the basis of that, because that will be tantamount to campaigning already for Umkhonto Sizwe Party. So I'm going to be actively involved in Umkhonto Sizwe Party and shape its direction and the politics that are obtaining today in South Africa. So that is to end the uncertainty or speculations that have been obtaining in terms of what is going to happen. There is no specific position that have been assigned to me. There is no commitment or any promise of deployment to parliament or to anything. It's a decision that I have taken, and I think and believe that it will add meaningful value to the progressive and revolutionary politics that must be pursued by all the progressive forces in South Africa. Thank you very much.
If you are resigning, but you are using the platforms and mechanisms and communications channels, the official ones at that of the party, to actually announce your resignation, I've never seen or heard such a thing. And given what most South Africans, I suspect, would have surmised about the character and nature of the EFF and its leader, it's not something they would have allowed. That someone who's actually leaving the party uses the official organs and channels of the party to actually announce it. But also the nature and character of the cordiality with which it was announced and so on was really quite surprising. Some people quite I don't know if it's generous or mischaracterized, but they called it as generous and mature. I'm not sure about that. I think it's all a little bit of farce dressed up as spectacle, which is pretending to be politics. I think it's part of this sort of broader, one would call it realignment, but I don't quite want to use the word realignment, but I'm using it for want of a better word, because when you talk about realignment, you're talking about something fundamentally serious, about changes in the social structure of the society. And because the social structure is changing, the nature of the society, its own structures, its own processes are changing, and therefore the organs which purport to represent specific interests in that society do so. And then you have a kind of restructuring and a realignment of the organizations in that society, because they're reflecting the changing dynamics of it, right? Now, in some sense, this might be reflective of that to one extent, but there's a more sinister and altogether more cynical something going on here. And that altogether more cynical thing is as follows. I think what they're trying to do is they're not trying to amalgamate the organizations, but there's obviously some kind of affinity with them. And I wouldn't be so charitable as to call it an ideological or a political affinity, because one would have to ask your question, why would someone who claims to supposedly be a Marxist, Leninist, Fanonist, Bikoist want to go and join a party which wishes to take people back to the nature of feudal relations, where people become chattels of those who are inheritors of leadership rather than those who have earned that kind of leadership. So there's nothing ideological about this. There may be points of policy proximity in the fact that they both reject the constitution, but one doesn't know whether someone like Floyd Shivambu actually embraces the constitution or rejects it, and which aspects of it does, because you get mixed messages. So what's the point I'm trying to make? The point I'm trying to make is that I think what's broadly reflective is that there's a change in the sense that their interests are starting to coincide politically, because they obviously want to consolidate that flank of those people who left the ANC, because they want to destabilize the ANC, because they want to replace them, because it's part of normal politics, parts of normal political competition in a democracy, which you would understand it. But what's the purpose of that kind of coming together? Well, the purpose of that coming together is that they need to shore up their interests. All of them, bar none, are subject of inquiries, investigations, and may be susceptible to prosecutions. The leader of one of the party, we know, has been assiduously avoiding their day in court, though they are asking that they want to be there. And I suspect a fair number of these themselves are also susceptible to this. So their interests start to converge on it, and they need to consolidate a kind of support block organizationally to shore themselves up. Now, here's the questions that South Africans need to start to ask. What has changed in the kind of decade between the point at which EFF members were avowedly anti-President Zuma, and don't be fooled by anyone telling you, well, this is all politics, things change, our beliefs need to change because the circumstances have changed. Well, what has changed?
Yeah.
What circumstances have changed, firstly? Secondly, since you hated these people so much, you now find yourself in the same organization. And lastly, Naledi, let me just make this point very quickly. It must beg a belief, and you got to ask yourself, do these people have any serious political, ideological commitments? Because it would seem to me that one of the crises of politics in South Africa, and crisis of government, by the way, which is translated from politics, is that there is this crisis of belief. People don't actually believe in what they claim or profess to believe.
As these two political heavyweights chart new path, one thing is certain: the future of South African politics is more uncertain and more interesting than ever before. What do you think? Will Floyd Shivambu's move strengthen the fight for economic emancipation? Can Jacob Zuma's MK party change the course of South African politics? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Inkari. It's time for more in-depth analysis on the issues that matter. Thank you for watching, and stay tuned for more insights in South African political landscape.